XM News in English with me, Mariam Shalshat. The Maldives National Defence Force seizes a Sri Lankan fishing vessel found operating illegally in Maldivian waters, recovering nearly half a ton of drugs during the operation. According to the authority, the vessel was intercepted by the MNDF near Makunudu at approximately 12:45 am on 23 November. It was escorted to the port in Kuludufushi City, where a thorough search was conducted by the MNDF Coast Guard and Kuludufushi City Police on the morning of 24 November. Commissioner of Police Ali Shujao revealed that a total of 468.6 kilograms of drugs were recovered from the vessel, including 344 kilograms of crystal methamphetamine and 124.6 kilograms of cocaine. The operation was launched based on a tip-off received by the MNDF, highlighting the importance of coordinated efforts in combating drug trafficking. Commissioner stated it was a successful collaborative effort between various agencies to prevent the entry of drugs into the Maldives. The vessel had 5 crew members on board, all Sri Lankan nationals who have been taken into custody. Investigations are currently ongoing. The guidelines for submitting legal documents for publication in the Government Gazette has been updated following a directive issued by the President's Office.
Effective from November 24th, all government ministries and institutions are required to revise their procedures for submitting legal documents to the President's Office for publication in the Government of Maldives Gazette. As per the new directive, these documents must now be sent to the email address legalaffairs@po.gov.mv. In the case that amendments are required to documents already submitted, the revised versions must be addressed to the President's Office in accordance with Directive Number 4/2015. This applies to official documents and letters that require the President's signature. The revised documents should include a covering letter signed by the Minister or the official in charge at the time of submission. For state agencies and institutions not under ministry jurisdiction, revised documents should also be sent to the specified email address and must be accompanied by the signature of the responsible official. Additionally, ministries and their related institutions are instructed to consult the Attorney General's Office for legal advice before preparing documents for publication. The consultation record and the Attorney General's advice must be included with the submission. Each institution must also designate a focal point responsible for this process and provide the name, title, and contact information of the designated official. The directive further emphasizes the importance of reviewing documents for compliance with legal and linguistic standards prior to submission. Any necessary corrections must be made before publication. While the procedures for submitting documents to the President's Office have been updated, the existing guidelines under President's Office Directive Number 11/2010, which governs the actions of government offices and agencies, and Directive Number 25/2010 concerning government offices remain unchanged. These directives contain to require that all legal documents be submitted with the advice of the Attorney General's Office.
The government announces plans to introduce a special bill in Parliament next year aimed at preventing the misuse of resources of state-owned enterprises (SOEs). This initiative, detailed in the Budget Position Report for 2025, follows recommendations from international financial institutions.
The proposed bill to be introduced during the first session of the year seeks to strengthen corporate governance and streamline the management of SOEs. The new legalization will repeal the existing Privatization and Corporatization Board Act, transferring responsibility for SOEs to the Ministry of Finance, which will become the primary shareholder. Key provisions of the bill include measures to reduce financial mismanagement, over-recruitment, and promote merit-based hiring. It will also establish transparent procurement procedures to prevent resources misuse and mitigate corruption risks. The legislation will introduce a framework for evaluating company boards and reinforce financial management systems across the sector. In a broader effort to reduce public spending, the government plans to cut capital and loan expenditures for SOEs, which is projected to account for 10.2% of next year's budget. These reforms are part of the government's strategy to improve efficiency and accountability within state-owned companies.
Ministry of Economic Development and Trade states that the currency settlement agreement signed with India on November 21st marks a significant step towards boosting investments and strengthening economic ties between the two countries.
The agreement was signed by MMA Governor Ahmad Munawar on behalf of the Maldives and RBI Governor on behalf of India. The ministry emphasizes that the agreement aligns with Maldives' broader economic objectives and is a key initiative under President Dr. Mohamed Muiz's vision for expanding the economy and enhancing international relations. Trade between the Maldives and India is valued at approximately $500 million annually, and this agreement is viewed as a crucial move to further expand business and investment opportunities between the two nations. Under the terms of the agreement, businesses in both countries will now be able to settle imports and exports of goods and services in their own currencies. This development allows for transactions to be conducted in the Maldivian rupiah and Indian rupee, streamlining exchanges in the foreign exchange market. The use of local currencies is expected to reduce transaction costs and shorten settlement times, benefiting businesses and consumers in both countries. Minister of Economic Development and Trade Mohammad Said described the agreement as historic, underscoring the significant advantages it will bring to businesses in both the Maldives and India. The signing of the agreement follows President Muiz's visit to India in October, during which he introduced the Indian Rupee card in the Maldives and initiated discussions on expanding the use of local currencies in bilateral transactions. Additionally, the President has taken steps to introduce India's Unified Payments Interface (UPI) in the Maldives, further strengthening economic cooperation between the two nations.
We'll now be taking a short break for Isha prayers.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آت محمدًا الوسيلة والفضيلة والدرجة الرفيعة وبعثه مقامًا محمودًا الذي وعدته وارزقنا شفاعته برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. وصلى الله على محمد وآله وصحبه وسلم، والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Welcome once again to PSM News in English. Minister of Social and Family Development Dr. Aisha Chiham discloses that 54 children in state custody have been successfully reunited with the families as part of the government's Every Child Has a Family program. This initiative aims to ensure that every child grows up in a loving and supportive family environment. Minister Aisha Chiham highlighted that although children are placed in state custody due to various challenges, the goal is always to provide better opportunities and reunite them with their families. In the past year, approximately 50 children have been placed with families. As part of the program, the government provides a financial allowance of 5,000 Maldivian rupiah to families without family support to cover the expenses of foster children. The ministry also offers assistance to ensure a safe and supportive environment for the child, including mental health support and guidance for families on proper child care. To strengthen child welfare efforts, the government has established the State Care Services Department to oversee the care of children in state custody. Minister of Tourism Ibrahim Faisal announces that the government has allocated 11 islands for resort development. He made the remarks during a program aired on PSM News. Speaking on the program, Minister Faisal highlighted the government's efforts to expand the tourism sector across the Maldives. He revealed that approximately 25 islands have been opened for tourism development to date, with award letters issued for 11 of the islands. The minister stated that the investments for these projects amount to approximately $385 million, with some awardees having already made payments. He also expressed pride in the fact that the majority of investors are Maldivian. Although the Maldivian tourism industry has thrived for 53 years, Minister Faisal noted that it has not yet achieved nationwide expansion. To address this, the government is preparing dedicated master plans for each atoll, alongside tailored marketing strategies to promote tourism development in these regions. He also provided updates on key projects, including the ongoing development of Hanimadu International Airport, which is expected to significantly increase the number of tourist beds in the area. Additionally, he noted that tourism promotion efforts are progressing at a rapid pace. Ministry of Tourism discloses that over 200,000 tourists have visited the Maldives from Russia so far this year, making it the second largest source market for tourist arrivals.
Russian tourists account for 11.2% of the total arrivals, with 201,491 visitors recorded as of now, according to the latest statistics. This marks a 6% increase compared to the same period last year, which saw 189,541 Russian arrivals. By December last year, the total figure stood at 209,146, suggesting this year's numbers may surpass previous records. China remains the largest source market for the Maldives, contributing 248,141 tourists so far this year. The Maldives has now entered its peak tourism season, with an increase in airline flights boosting visitor numbers. Apart from Russia and China, arrivals from Italy, Germany and the United Kingdom have also improved compared to last year. India, which experienced a significant slowdown in arrivals earlier this year, has also seen recovery with 109,651 Indian tourists visiting the Maldives so far. Overall, the Tourism Ministry reports that 1,797,028 tourists have arrived in the Maldives in 2024, a 9.2% increase compared to the 1,646,327 arrivals recorded during the same period last year. The government aims to attract a total of 2 million tourists by the end of the year. With 353,673 additional arrivals needed to meet this target, the Maldives is currently receiving an average of 5,756 tourists daily, keeping the goal within reach by December.
Parliamentary Committee on Independent Institutions approves the removal of several members from the Anti-Corruption Commission ACC and the Elections Commission of the Maldives ECM following complaints against them. The decision was made based on allegations that these members violate the code of conduct outlined in their respective acts, which mandate impartiality and the avoidance of self-interest and undue influence. The members facing removal include ACC Vice President Abdul Salam, ACC member Toha Mohammed, ECM Vice President Ali Nashat, and members Muhammad Asif and Dr. Muhammad Zahir. The committee also recommended the removal of Ahmed Nasih, the chairman of the Civil Service Commission, but he was not dismissed for reasons that remain unclear. The committee's recommendations will be submitted to the Parliament for approval before the members are officially removed. Printing and issuance of national identity cards has been launched in Hurumale and Vilimale as part of a project to streamline the process and make it more accessible to citizens across the country. President Dr. Mohammad Muizzu inaugurated project on 16th November. The initiative aims to provide ID card and passport services without hassle directly from residents' localities. The ID card printing and issuance services are now operational in 3 locations, which are Hurumale Phase 1 in Umar Zahir Building ground floor, Hurumale Phase 2 in Vinares Tower 2 first floor and Vilimale E Block ground floor. In addition to these new service points, 174 collection centers have been established across various islands to ensure nationwide coverage. The ID card service was initially launched online in 2021 in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Last year, the system was upgraded with the introduction of DNR online portal, allowing users to request ID cards digitally. Once printed, the cards are delivered to the respective island councils for distribution. The government has set an ambitious target to extend the ID card issuance service to all inhabited islands by next year. The Kremlin says that new U.S. sanctions on Russia's Gazprom Bank were an attempt by Washington to hinder the export of Russian gas, but said a solution would be found. Washington imposed new sanctions on Gazprom Bank that prevent the lender from handling any new energy-related transactions that touch the U.S. financial system, ban its trade with Americans and freeze its U.S. assets. Gazprom Bank is one of Russia's largest banks and is partially owned by Kremlin-owned gas company Gazprom, GazPMM. Ukraine has been urging the U.S. to impose more sanctions on the bank, which receives payments for natural gas from Gazprom's customers in Europe. Asked whether the sanctions were an effort to stop European buyers still wanting Russian gas from buying it and whether Russia would fight for the right to supply gas to them, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said, "The answer to both parts of your question is yes." Peskov said he could not yet answer questions on where future gas payments would be directed and whether Gazprom Bank would continue to maintain the accounts of foreign buyers. A security source in state media say a gunman was dead and 3 policemen injured after a shooting near the Israeli embassy in neighboring Jordan. Police shot a gunman who had fired at a police patrol in the Rabia neighborhood of Amman, state news agency Petra reported, citing public security, adding investigations were ongoing. Jordanian police had earlier cordoned off an area near the heavily policed embassy after gunshots were heard. 2 witnesses said police and ambulances rushed to the Rabia neighborhood, a flashpoint for frequent demonstrations against Israel and where the embassy is located. Many of Jordan's 12 million citizens are of Palestinian origin, they or their parents having been expelled or fled to Jordan in the fighting that accompanied the creation of Israel in 1948. The kingdom has witnessed some of the biggest peaceful rallies across the region as anti-Israel sentiments run high over the war in Gaza. Atletico Madrid manager Diego Simeone got emotional as he spoke about his love for the La Liga club and his 700th game where his side came from behind with 2 late goals to beat Deportivo Alaves 2-1 at home. Alaves took an early lead from the penalty spot, but Antoine Griezmann equalized in the 76th minute with a spot kick of their own before second-half substitute Alexander Sørloth scored in the 86th minute to seal all 3 points and move up to second. As the match headed for a draw, Sørloth scored with a thunderous strike that led to Simeone running the length of the sideline and celebrating with the Norwegian striker. Simeone got a yellow card for his antics, but he did not complain and said he had spoken with Sørloth the night before about how he could make an impact in the game. Sørloth was one of 2 half-time substitutes along with Simeone's son Giuliano, whose second-half performance earned him the Man of the Match award. As a player, Simeone spent 5 years in total across 2 stints with Atletico and was a part of their historic 1995-96 league and cup double season. In his 13 years in the dugout, however, Simeone has presided over one of the most successful periods in club history, winning La Liga twice as well as leading the Red and Whites to 2 Europa League titles and a Copa del Rey crown. In 2013-14 season, Atletico became the first team other than Real Madrid and Barcelona to win the Spanish league in a decade, while also ending their own 18-year wait for the title. Simeone once again broke up the dual hegemony of the Clásico teams in the 2021 La Liga season and has twice finished runners-up to cross-city rivals Real in the 2014 and 2016 Champions League finals. Kelvin Smith says it is a vivid metaphor for mental health struggles, pushing something extremely heavy up a mountain, and that's exactly what the musician decided to do. He pushed his piano up Hobart's Coonamble, Mount Wellington, along the track of the world's toughest half marathon to raise money for charity.
It's 9 o'clock on a Sunday, and Tasmania's piano man, Kelvin Smith, has conquered the world's toughest half marathon, Hobart's Point to Pinnacle, pushing his 240-kilogram piano the entire way to raise money for mental health.
There's a vivid metaphor of like we're all pushing something uphill, and why not make it a piano so that we can play it at the summit, you know?
Through his grueling challenge, he aims to raise $40,000 for suicide prevention.
That's what we want people to think today, that if they're going through a tough time, put one foot in front of the other, and people around you will support you the best they can.
The quirky challenge took 21 hours, starting the day before other competitors. The piano man had supporters along the way, reaching his goal of beating the first runner by 4 minutes.
Some crazy guy is sweating it out, pushing a piano uphill. I mean, hopefully it brings a few smiles to people's faces.
He's become known for playing in some of the state's most scenic locations and for transporting his piano in unconventional ways.
Oh, this is definitely the most ambitious. I've had it out on Cunningham Beach, right out on the point there. That was quite difficult, but no, this is by far the most extreme.
A musical mission that's ended with a high note. Sophie Jaggers, ABC News.
And that's all we have for you right now. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more news updates. Have a good day. Goodbye.